The gentleman from Illinois, Mr. Foster, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and congratulations. And thank you to our witnesses, particularly Mr. Massett. Your testimony is really excellent. I read it twice, and I urge anyone who wants to sort of understand the issues here to have a long read on your testimony.
Most disingenuous dude I've heard all week.
Is the inadequacy of the current corporate bankruptcy codes for resolving for stablecoin. I was wondering if the other witnesses have any comments on that. Do you view the current bankruptcy code as adequate for resolving failed stablecoins, or do you think we need a separate resolution regime for stablecoin issuers? Anyone who wants to? Just raise your hand if you think the current regime is adequate and we don't need a new one. Just raise your hand. Okay, so it looks like all of you agree that we need some kind of new resolution regime for bankrupt issuers of stablecoins. So that really should be on our to-do list on here. Let's see, Mr. Jackman, you emphasized the regulatory oversight over your platform, but as Mr. Massett points out, that's only half the battle. You know, if you accept crypto assets that have been self-hosted, you must need some mechanism to make sure that they haven't been used for, fentanyl purchases or, or North Korean missiles, all this sort of things that are really, key to have that. How do you ensure that the crypto assets that you bring on board have not been used for these illicit purposes?
Thank you for the question, Congressman. Kraken employs a zero tolerance policy for illicit finance. And if you think about our ecosystem, there is KYC, there are KYC and AML checks for every user that comes on board.
Just to be specific, let's say you've had Bitcoin that's gone through these washers and transferred to other anonymous currencies, and then it shows up in your platform from a self-hosted wallet. How do you have any idea whether that money's been?
Thank you for the question, Congressman. This is the beauty of blockchain technology, and I think this is where the blockchain analytical tools really power this ability to surveil, detect, and prevent this type of behavior. We employ these tools to ensure that not only all the transactions within our environment and on our platform are subject to these screens, but also onboard, offboard, and if we're interacting with other centralized intermediaries, self-hosted wallets that are owned by our customers, those are subject to sanctions.
That are owned by your customer. Yeah, I'm not worried about your customers, the people you KYC'd. I'm worried about people that are out there on the dark web, trading anonymously with self-hosted wallets to buy fentanyl precursors or all the things that are, killing Americans, or the North Korean nuclear missiles that threaten us. So it seems like, or if you have a solution to that actually works, I've been asking for it for 10 years and haven't received it. And so if you could, for the record, say exactly how you can guarantee that when you bring on a crypto asset, that value has not been used in an illicit transaction. If you could answer that for the record, I'd appreciate it, because it's one of the two things that, for one of the reasons why we've actually, over the last 10 or 12 years, passed exactly zero legislation on crypto, is that the two fundamental issues are anonymity and finality. So just, for an example on the finality, why that's so tough, if someone comes, if you're self-hosting and someone comes and puts a gun at your head, drags you into an alley, says, get out your cell phone, transfer all your crypto to me, is it your view that you're just screwed and that's it? That money has disappeared into another self-hosted wallet, wandered off to the dark web? Or do you think that we need some way of tracking it down and find out where it went?
Well, Congressman, I think it's really important to put the market into context here. The crypto markets have reached over $3.5 trillion. 85 to 90% of that activity today goes through centralized intermediaries like Kraken and other.
It's the 15% that is threatening us with nuclear missiles we cannot stop from North Korea. All right, I'm not worried about the 85%, and I'm not even, anyway, so if you have a solution.
Well, Congressman, if I may, I think the 85 to 90% is what we're here to talk about today. That is why it is so important for the United States to move forward with market structure regulation. If we can, there are many issues to debate over the next several years, but we need to move now and put that basic foundation in place.
Okay, like unless the 85% is used as an on-ramp for the 15% that's killing Americans. Yeah, Mr. Massey, you look like you wanted to say something.
Well, I was just going to say, you know, when I hear the industry defend it this way, and yet at the same time they want to promote DeFi, so you might say, well, okay, are you willing to somehow